Hello everyone, happy Monday. Hope everyone's having a great day. My name is Neil. If you clicked on this video, it's about liver disease. I have cirrhosis, so there's no cure for that. So today I just want to talk about quickly, this is probably going to be a little bit of a quicker video. Oh, by the way, this is my co-star, Blaze. Blaze is my bearded dragon, and this, my reptiles, is how I stay active. And this is my purpose. This was a rescue. And I've taken care of this girl. And yeah, that's what I do. I rescue reptiles and find new homes for them. It kind of gives me purpose. And that's one of those things that helps you kind of get through the hardness of the disease, you know? Finding something to keep you positive, something to keep you going, keep your positivity up, you know? Keep you looking for a goal, keep you looking for something that you love to do. I mean, these guys depend on me, and I depend on them, you know? They don't show love the way a cat or a dog might, but they do. And they cuddle up with me and relax, and I feed them and take care of them and help them when they're not feeling good, or rescue them. That I have one that's missing an arm, different things like that. But anyway, enough about that. So I want to talk about testing a little bit, because I think there's a little bit of a misconception about testing for cirrhosis or the shape of the liver or how it's doing. And the reason why I bring this up, I do get a lot of comments about fibroscans and biopsies and this and that and stuff like that. See, I never had a fibroscan, and I haven't had a biopsy. They actually want to do one, but it's not for the reason that you would think, to check for cirrhosis. It's for a different reason, which I'll explain later. But the reason why they've never had to do any of those is because with the imaging is so good nowadays that they could put you in a CT scan and see the liver and know it's cirrhotic just by looking at the imaging. Ultrasound, same way. They can tell the denseness, and they know how much it's supposed to weigh, and they know the elasticity, I can't speak, of it. And they also know how it's supposed to react in the shapes and things like that. And when you start to get these nodules and things like that, the hardening, they can see that on the imaging. So they never had to do that. I was in such bad shape when I first went in. There really wasn't a whole lot of symptoms before. I mean, there was, but I really didn't pay attention to them, nor did I think that there was anything. I guess maybe I was afraid of going to a doctor. And I didn't drink my whole life. I drank in my early 20s until 25 or something like that. I didn't drink for 13 years or so, not even a drop. And started drinking casually some beer with some friends, and went through some stuff in life and turned to the bottle. And unfortunately, I always had a very high tolerance. So there you go. The liver was already failing because there was other things wrong that I didn't know about it. In my case, it turned out to be genes. And basically what I did was I took some really easy sorry. I wound up, okay, bud. Anyway, so basically it was like I doused it in gasoline and just lit it on fire and burned it down the rest of the way, essentially. Sorry about that for a moment. However, though, they never had to do a scan or any of those other fiber scans or things like that, because they could see it in the imaging. Basically, I couldn't breathe. My right lung had filled up. My stomach wasn't filling up the way you would normally think, because it does affect everybody in a different way. In my case, when it got to the point where I knew something was going on, it started little by little. I started losing my muscle mass, and I wound up having a extremely skinny face and a big belly that was pushing out, which was the ascites. I did have fluid in the stomach that time, and it had just built up for a long time. And then I started not being able to breathe. I was just constantly out of air. I couldn't walk 10 feet without not being able to breathe. And this went on for close to a month. I mean, I hadn't drank a drop this whole time. You know, I knew something was going on. I would eat something and I'd throw up. I was getting those symptoms, which was from the pressure. Also, you know, I would sleep and all that weight was there in my stomach. So finally, I went in to be checked and they pulled like 5 liters off my stomach and like 3.5 liters off my right lung. They said my right lung was completely collapsed because there's so much fluid in it that it wasn't getting any air. Yet I was pulling 98 pulse ox on the machine. And if I'm sure you know what pulse ox is, but that's the oxygen in your blood that they monitor. So that was still really high. And they said you're in liver failure. And I was like, liver failure? I was like, wow, you know, and I knew something was going on. So they transferred me to another hospital, to a liver hospital, and there's just a tail sticking up. And I went in and they drained all the fluids and, you know, they pulled all the fluids off, got me on new medicine. They had me hospitalized for about 2 weeks that time. And then they let me go and they set me up an appointment with a liver doctor. And I went in, saw them. They suggested some food, but I didn't really know anything. You know, a minute ago, I was in such bad shape, and now I'm walking around again. Yeah, I'm weak and stuff like that, but I'm like, oh, so I'm fine, right? Because they didn't really say much to me. They didn't tell me it was serious. They didn't act like it. They just put on their alcohol-induced cirrhosis, and that was it. So, well, things started continuing getting better. I was constantly weak, worn down. I was taking all my medicines, doing everything I should, and my right lung kept filling up with fluid over and over again. So I'd go in, and this just kept happening. So they would admit me, they would pull fluid, send me home, and then that fluid was coming back gram-positive. So that fluid, which gram-positive is basically a staph infection. It's a very, very bad infection. So I got a phone call at 10 o'clock at night from a nurse saying, we need you to go to the ER immediately because your results came back from the fluid they pulled out of your lung, and it is gram-positive, so we need to get you on IV antibiotics ASAP. I was a little bit like, you know, I called my friend and I was like, you know, it's kind of scary. At that moment in time, all of a sudden, I realized that this was real. And, you know, so I went in, they pulled the fluid off again, which had just been pulled off 3 days ago. And now I've got another 3 liters in my lung again. So they pull that out. They put me on antibiotics until the bacteria is gone. They send me home. And then it kept happening again. And finally, the 3rd or 4th time of being admitted with fluid, in my lung, they finally put a chest tube in, and I was in the hospital for over a month that time until the fluid stopped. And during that process also, I had 9 varices banded. I went home at one point, wound up, something didn't feel right. It was really weird, like really weird feeling in my stomach, and I just threw up blood everywhere. It was bad. So I went into the hospital, drove myself, just threw up a whole bunch of blood, got in the car, drove to the hospital instead of like a rational human being calling an ambulance. But hey, so I went in there, then I threw up again, and the only thing I had was an empty urinal, so I threw up in that. And the nurse goes, "What is that?" And I said, "I just threw up," and she's like, yeah, I'll be right back. So they transferred me again, and that's when they found the varices, and this just continued going on. And eventually, after about 6 months of constantly being hospitalized, the lungs stopped filling up with fluid. During this time, at the last point, I had a MELD score up into the low 30s, and they gave me about 90 days to live. They did a meeting about me, because that's what they do if they're going to do a liver transplant, to decide if you're a candidate enough. And there's a lot that goes into that as far as whether or not you're a candidate. They have all the main surgeons come in, and the board, and the insurance gets involved and all that stuff. And basically they decided that I wasn't eligible because I didn't have a good enough support system at the time. I didn't have anybody that was willing to say, yeah, I'll take care of him for 6 months. So I wound up moving to another family member, and so on and so forth. As we go down the road, things started getting a little bit better, and then finally I got my own place, and I was able to work for a little bit, and then I kept getting in the hospital. So, I was on my feet constantly. I went in as a part-time job because I was feeling a little better, and they wound up having me on full-time hours, and I was constantly hospitalized. My ammonia levels, my fluid was building up my legs again, and I wound up having to quit. And it's just difficult. It's hard. I mean, how do you deal with all that, knowing, by the grace of God, I have, disability, but doesn't cover everything, So it's a struggle, and you're always running this rat race of struggle, and you're fighting because, if you had a nest egg, or you had some money set aside, or you're prepared for it, or even if you have a lot of family, or you're close to some people and you got that support system, it is easier. So if you have that, hold on to that, and don't let it go. A lot of it, like when I was really sick, I was on my own. I drove myself to the hospital every time, just kept going through. And then when I got out here, things happened the way they happened, and I did meet some friends out here who are amazing people. I wound up, when I was working, I purchased a car so I could drive. Couldn't afford that because I had to quit the job, and anyway, life goes on, right? So, they're nice enough to come pick me up and take me to do a few of my things and doctor's appointments here and there and stuff like that. But, and here's the thing. It's difficult to get through when you're faced with something like this. But I've always had just enough. Not more than enough. Not excess. But it's never been not enough. It's always been just enough to cling me on the edge. And I am grateful for that, to be honest. Because in reality, there are people that could have it way worse than I do. And are there people that have it better than I do? Sure. But this is my life, and this is where I'm at. And yeah, it sucks. But it's also not all that bad. I met some amazing friends throughout this journey. If it wasn't for getting cirrhosis, I don't think I would have ever quit drinking, and who knows what would have happened from then. I was in such a, spot of depression that it was painful. I couldn't even get out of bed, and this all happened during COVID. So that just made things worse. And, I used to believe in the idea that, you're a man, you take your problems, you hold them inside, you deal with it. It doesn't matter. Your problems don't matter. You got to take care of family, this matters, and it was like all this time, like not doing a normal job. It's hard to train my mind to go, okay, well, I just can't do that. It's okay. But on the other side of it, the things you used to have, the career, and, I used to rebuild cars. I worked in the automotive industry all my life. I'd buy a cheap car and I'd rebuild an engine, throw an engine in it, and I used to love doing that. But those things are gone. So now I find new things to replace the things I can't do anymore with things I can do, if that makes sense. hence the reptiles. I truly feel like by, helping them, I'm doing something good, and, maybe teach somebody something about a reptile. And that's my goal. That's what I do. Eventually I want to get to the point to where I could open up a rescue. There's no rescues in this area. There's not a lot of reptile rescues at all anywhere. And, I think that's important, finding a goal. Will I accomplish it? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what tomorrow brings. It could be something bad, but it could be something positive. And that's what I cling to. So I know this video was kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, kind of a mixture. Who says hodgepodge anymore? Anyway, I do so much appreciate you clicking on this video and watching it. And if you watched it this whole time, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the blessings everybody's had with their comments. I love getting them. Keep them coming. I will try to answer a little better. I haven't been feeling good this past, week or two. Just been really weak and down, sleeping a lot. It's part of the disease. So I haven't been on the comments as quickly as usually, but I'll try to get back to this because I'm starting to feel a little better today. So we'll get back on that. And I want to thank for everybody who has donated to my GoFundMe page. You guys are blessings. Like I said, it's extremely difficult to make it through. And, the $10, $20, $25 here and there that comes through, it's a blessing. And it has saved my butt a lot of times. So I want to thank everybody for their support. And I hope this helps somebody. And if you're interested in checking out that page, like GoFundMe or anything like that, that will be linked in the bio, also in the description. Also, if you'd like to, if you would, please subscribe and like this video, and hit the notification bell for more notifications of my videos. And I'm going to attempt to learn how to make my videos a little better, how to be able to add different things into it, which I have no idea how to do. But I'm going to start working on that so I can make better videos for everybody, because I do enjoy making these. So again, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, blessed, amazing day. And hey, live her a little, huh?